At family reunion, my sister's kid announced, "Mom says you never give back to this family." Everyone clapped. I smiled and said, "Perfect. Then she won't miss the $5,200 I cover for her mortgage every month." My sister went pale. And then, my sister's daughter, Madison, should have shut her mouth a long time ago. But she just had to say something. Loud enough for everyone at the reunion to hear. Right as people were starting dessert. 30 people. Some I hadn't seen in years. All gathered to celebrate my promotion. The promotion that no one from my sister's side of the family ever really acknowledged. Not because they didn't know, but because if it wasn't about them, they didn't care. Madison thought she was funny, like her mother. And for too long, I let that kind of behavior slide. I covered for them, helped them, paid for things I had no business paying for. All to keep the peace. That peace ended the second she opened her mouth. The reunion was my idea, but I didn't really want it. Greg told me to cancel it when we saw the guest list. But my boys were looking forward to it, and I figured, okay, one more time. It was at the lake house we rent every year. I paid for everything. Food, drinks, setup, cleanup, down to the folding chairs. Not that anyone noticed. Erica arrived in a sundress I recognized because I paid for it last spring when she said she couldn't afford anything for herself. She didn't greet me, just waved and walked inside with Madison, who was already glued to her phone. They didn't speak to my boys. Barely nodded at Greg. I was still trying to hold it together. Trying to tell myself not to let it get to me. Then dessert came out. My mom was mid-story about something our dad did back in the day, and people were half listening, half chewing on strawberry shortcake. And that's when Madison decided to drop her little grenade. "Mom says you never give back to this family." Just like that. Like she was repeating something casual she'd heard 1,000 times. The entire table went still. You could feel it. A shift. My mom went quiet. Greg froze. My sons looked over at me like they weren't sure if they were allowed to say anything. And Erica? She just kept sipping her drink like it was someone else's problem. I smiled. I don't even know why. Maybe it was because I finally stopped caring. And I said, "Perfect. Then she won't miss the $5,200 I cover for her mortgage every month." There were actual gasps. And a few people clapped. Not out of joy. More like shock. Because the one person they didn't expect to speak up had just pulled the curtain back. Erica went pale. Madison blinked like she didn't get it. Greg stood up, raised his glass a little, and said maybe it was time I told the rest. So I did. I reminded them all that the SUV Erica drives isn't hers. I bought it. It's in my name. I even cover the insurance because she said she couldn't get approved on her own. I mentioned the utility bills I quietly paid when their power was going to be shut off. The tutoring I paid for when Madison started failing sophomore year and Erica was too embarrassed to ask my mom for help. The Christmas gifts I sent over for them from Santa, even when Greg and I had to dip into our own savings. I did all of it quietly. And still, this is how they saw me. Greg leaned over and said, "We're done helping them, right?" I didn't hesitate. Yep. Starting today. And just like that, the dynamic shifted. The gravy train came to a screeching halt. Erica knew it. Madison knew it. And they both knew there was more coming. The reunion wrapped up faster than I expected after that. A few relatives made excuses and left early. My Aunt Brenda tried to lighten the mood by clearing dessert plates like she was on a mission. Erica didn't speak another word to me. Madison disappeared into her phone again, probably texting some snarky play-by-play to her little circle. I didn't care. Greg and I loaded the boys into the car and drove home in silence for the first 10 minutes. Then Jesse, my oldest, asked quietly if I was okay. I told him I was better than okay, because I meant it. That night, I went straight into the home office and pulled the folder. The mortgage payments I'd been making for Erica? Set on autopay through our joint account. I canceled it. Just like that. The next one was due in 4 days. I turned to Greg and said, "That's going to hit her fast." He smiled without even looking up from his tablet. Good. I didn't stop there. The next morning, I called the insurance company and removed Erica from the policy on the car. Since the vehicle's registered in my name, she'd need to switch everything to her own coverage. She'd have to come pick up the title transfer forms herself if she wanted to keep it. I left her one voicemail. "Come, short. You'll need to start covering your mortgage. And the car insurance is no longer in my name. Let me know when you're ready to take care of the paperwork." She didn't call back. But Madison did. 3 days later. She sent me a long dramatic text accusing me of abandoning family and making things worse than they were. She said her mom had been crying for 2 days and didn't know what to do. She said she might have to quit cheerleading if things didn't get better. I stared at the message stunned. Not a word about the reunion. Not a word about what she said. No apology. No taking responsibility. Just guilt-tripping and panic because for the first time they were being held accountable. So I replied with one sentence. "Actions have consequences, Madison. Nothing else." That was the moment I knew I'd done the right thing. Not just for me, for my kids too. They needed to see that kindness doesn't mean being a doormat. That you can love people and still say enough. The next week was quiet. Then my mom called. She wanted to talk things through, and suggested that maybe I'd been too harsh. That Erica was going through a lot, and didn't know how to ask for help in the right way. I didn't say anything at first. Then I asked her one question. Did you know I was paying her mortgage? She went quiet. Then she said no. Exactly. She tried once more. Maybe just the car, maybe just a few more months, but I cut her off. I told her I'd been helping quietly for years and no one noticed. But the moment I stopped, I was suddenly the villain. That's not how family works. At least not mine anymore. And the real twist? Erica showed up the next day. Not at my house. At Greg's office. She didn't text. Didn't call. Didn't even try to show up at my place. Erica went straight to Greg's office. As if that was going to work. She knew better than to face me, so she tried to guilt him instead. Greg called me after she left, and the first thing he said was, "You are not going to believe this." She walked into his office unannounced, wearing oversized sunglasses and fake confidence, and asked if she could have a quick word with him. Greg didn't throw her out because he's not that kind of person. But he wasn't kind either. He just listened. She started with tears. Said she didn't understand why I'd blindsided her in front of the whole family. Said she felt humiliated. Said her daughter hadn't spoken to her in 2 days. Like that was somehow my fault. Then she got to the real reason she was there. She said the mortgage payment bounced. Her account was overdrawn. The bank was calling. She said she was trying to hold it together for Madison's sake, and maybe if Greg could help smooth things over between me and her, maybe we could figure something out. That's when Greg leaned back in his chair and told her she needed to leave. He didn't yell. Didn't argue. Just told her it was over. That the help was done. That she'd burned through more chances than anyone else in our lives. And that whatever conversation she thought she was going to have with him, it was the wrong office, the wrong man, and the wrong decade. She left in silence. And then she texted me a long paragraph that made it sound like I had driven a wedge into the family. That I had caused Madison to feel unsafe. And that she didn't understand how I could be so cold after everything we've been through. It was like she was rewriting history in real time. As if I hadn't spent the last few years bailing her out while she whispered to anyone who'd listen that I was selfish. I didn't reply. I blocked her number that night. Madison went quiet too. Not a word. Not a post. Not a story. Her social media, which normally ran 24/7, went dead for 2 days. Then a photo appeared. A blurry selfie with some cryptic caption about "real ones never leave." I knew who that was aimed at. I didn't care. Then came the letter. 2 pages. Handwritten. Folded neatly and left in my mailbox with no return address. It was from Erica. She wrote that she was reflecting. That maybe she had let her pride get in the way. That maybe she should have said thank you more. That she never realized how much I'd done. But even in her apology there was this undertone, like I'd overreacted, like I could have handled it more privately. She asked me not to punish Madison for her mistakes. She asked if I'd reconsider letting them keep the car. Said they needed it to survive. I sat there reading that letter and felt something I hadn't felt in years. Relief. Because finally the weight was shifting. Not just from my shoulders, but from my entire life. The lies, the manipulation, the guilt, it was cracking. But I wasn't done yet. I gave them a week. 7 full days to come to their senses, apologize, or at least try to act like adults. Erica sent a handwritten letter. 2 pages of carefully worded guilt, but never showed up in person. Madison didn't say a word to me directly, but she had plenty to say on social media. Vague captions. Family can be the coldest. Some people only help so they can brag about it later. That sort of thing. No apology. No accountability. Just more noise. I waited. Quietly. But I was done hoping they'd come around. So I grabbed the spare key. The SUV parked in Erica's driveway still legally belonged to me. I'd kept it in my name because her credit was shot and I didn't want her defaulting and ruining the lease. Back then I didn't think twice. She needed help. I had the means. That's how it always started. But this time I was done playing sponsor. I drove to their house around noon on a Thursday. No warning. I parked the car directly in front of their house. Took pictures of everything. The mileage, the condition, the license plate. I locked the doors and slipped the key into an envelope. Inside, I left a sticky note with one line. "It's yours when you pay for it." As I turned to walk back to my own car, Madison came outside. She stopped at the porch, barefoot, hoodie sleeves pulled over her hands, and just stared at me. I braced myself for attitude for another smart remark. But instead she asked, "Do you hate me?" Caught me off guard. She didn't sound angry. Just small. Not the smug teenager who mocked me in front of everyone. Not the girl who thought she and her mom could take and take forever without consequences. I told her no. I didn't hate her. I hated how they treated me. I said it calmly, flatly, then turned to leave. Before I could take 2 steps, the front door slammed open. Erica came storming out, barefoot too, phone in hand, still mid-conversation with someone. I heard her say something about overdraft fees and late notices, and then she locked eyes with me. Don't you dare walk away from this, Stacy. You ruined everything. I didn't stop. I got in my car, rolled the windows up and drove away without a word. And I didn't feel guilty. Not one bit. That night, around midnight, I got a string of messages from Madison. Long ones. First, she apologized. Then she blamed me. Then she apologized again. She said her mom was a mess. That the power company had called. That they might have to sell the TV. She said she didn't understand why I was being so cruel. Cruel. That word stuck with me. Like years of unreturned favors and financial handouts meant nothing. Like I just flipped one switch and ruined their whole world. But the truth was, I didn't ruin anything. I just stopped fixing what they kept breaking. The next morning, 7:40 a.m., Greg shook me awake with his phone in his hand. A voicemail. He pressed play. It was Madison. She'd shown up at his office. Not to yell. Not to beg. To ask for a job. And not just any job. She said she was willing to do anything. She said she needed money. Fast. Greg didn't say anything when the voicemail ended. Just handed me his phone and walked to the kitchen like he needed coffee before reacting. I listened to it twice. Madison's voice was low, shaky, not the confident, sarcastic girl I was used to. She said she was sorry for showing up without an appointment, but she needed work. Said she didn't care what kind. Filing, cleaning, answering phones. Anything. Her mom was not doing great. Bills were piling up. Things were getting weird at home. I didn't feel bad. Not yet. What caught my attention was what came next. She said there was something she wanted to tell me. Something she hadn't said in front of anyone. Something about her mom. Greg texted her back later that morning, told her to meet us at a diner near his office, neutral ground. I didn't want her in our house. Not yet. And certainly not if she was bringing drama with her. She showed up 10 minutes early. Hair brushed. Hoodie replaced with a blazer she probably borrowed from someone. No makeup. Just pale and tired. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. I expected another performance. More guilt-tripping. But she surprised me. She slid into the booth and said I didn't know about the mortgage. Not until last week. I didn't respond. Greg sat next to me, arms crossed, just listening. Madison said Erica had been lying to her for years. Told her everything was fine. That she had everything handled. That I offered to help because I owed the family after moving so far above everyone else. She thought I wanted to pay. She didn't know about the bills, the car payments, the tutoring costs. She didn't even know I'd paid for her cheerleading trip to Florida last year. She thought her mom had found a way. And then after the reunion she found the bank notices in the drawer. Red letters. Final warnings. A foreclosure letter. She looked at me and said, I know it's not your fault. I just didn't know who to be mad at until now. That's when I realized. Madison had been used just like me. Maybe not in the same way but close enough. Erica had lied to her too, kept her in the dark. Made me out to be the villain while she quietly sank the ship with both of them on it. Madison reached into her bag and pulled out a torn envelope. Inside was a folded check. One I'd written over a year ago. $850 made out to cash. Memo line, groceries. I never even remembered writing it. She said she found it in her mom's drawer with at least a dozen others. Uncashed. Just sitting there. I stared at it. She said I think she kept them in case she ever needed proof to guilt you with. That was the moment it all clicked. Erica never intended to fix anything. She just wanted to keep a record of every favor. Every dollar. Not to be grateful, but to use. I pushed the check back toward Madison and told her I wasn't hiring family anymore. That if she wanted a job she'd have to apply somewhere else. On her own. She looked crushed but nodded. No argument. Just a quiet yeah, boy. But as we stood up to leave she said something I didn't expect. I don't think she's done. My mom. I think she's planning something. Against you. I paused. Asked her what she meant. Madison looked at the floor and said, I heard her talking to Grandma. She's trying to turn the family against you. Said you've changed. Said Greg controls you. Said she might tell everyone you were stealing money from them all these years. That you're not as generous as you pretend to be. And that's when I knew Erica was spiraling. And the worst part? My mother was helping her. He was trying to poison the well. That's what Madison said as we stood in the parking lot after the diner. Erica had been calling relatives all week, spinning stories. Telling them Greg controlled the money. That I was using my promotion to act superior. That I'd made up the payments to embarrass her publicly. And the worst part? My mother was listening. I didn't want to believe it until the phone rang that night. It was Mom. She started with small talk, asked about the boys, asked about work. I knew what was coming so I waited. Then she said it. Maybe you should have handled it privately, Stacy. Maybe you didn't need to humiliate your sister like that. That was it. That was the moment I knew it was done. I asked her if she remembered who paid her rent last winter when her heating went out. She got quiet. I told her Erica wouldn't have survived the last 3 years without me. And the only reason she was angry now was because the free ride ended. She tried to interrupt. I didn't let her. I said, you want to pick sides? That's fine. Just don't come to me when she drains your savings too. And I hung up. The next day I went to the DMV and started the process to repossess the SUV. Legally I had every right. It was mine. I'd given her enough time, enough warnings, enough kindness. I wasn't asking anymore. The repo guy called me 3 days later. He said the car was already gone. Not stolen. Sold. Erica had forged the sale using fake documents. She flipped the car to some guy across town for cash under the table. My car. Sold. I called the police. Filed the report. Gave them everything. Photos, title, text. The guy who bought it returned the vehicle without a fight once he realized what happened. But now Erica was in legal trouble, and she knew exactly who put her there. Madison was the one who told me. She came to my office in tears a week later, shaking. Said her mom was losing it. Screaming at everyone. Blaming me for everything. Said the lights got shut off that morning. That there was no food in the fridge. That she found a list in her mom's notebook titled, Ways to Make Stacy Regret It. The list included calling HR at my job, reporting Greg for financial abuse, and spreading rumors about us both. That's when Greg stepped in. He showed up at Erica's house the next morning. Alone. He didn't yell. Didn't argue. He handed her a typed letter. It said the following. Any further harassment, slander, or communication would result in a restraining order. Any continued attempts to involve our children, extended family, or place of work would lead to full legal action. She was officially banned from our property, our phones, and our lives. She slammed the door in his face. 2 days later, my mother called again. She said Erica had told her everything. That I was suing my sister. That I was ruining her life because I couldn't handle the truth. I asked my mother if she wanted to go next. She didn't answer. So I hung up again. That was the last call I took. And here's what happened after. Erica and Madison moved out of their rental 2 months later. No one knows where. Madison eventually got a job at a pharmacy across town. She stopped posting online. My mother still lives alone. Quite now. She knows where the line is. And me. I'm good. My sons respect me more than ever. They saw what boundaries look like. Greg and I are stronger than we've ever been. I still have the check Madison gave back, the one Erica never cashed. I keep it in my drawer. A reminder. They tried to turn me into a villain for doing too much. But they never thought I'd stop. Now they know. And they finally respect me. Not because I yelled. Not because I fought. Because I ended it. Completely.